Hi Arjun, lovely to see you. As we were talking, I've known you from the day your first fashion show, How come you still look the same in these, 25, 26 years, or is it 27?
Maybe more, yeah. About 26, 27 years, yeah.
Yeah?
25. Yeah, it's been ages. I don't know. I don't look the same at all. Please, I don't.
Just a bit of grey that we all have, otherwise we...
I've aged, and, body's taken its toll on me. I don't have that same kind of energy that we had when we were kids, but it's okay. Yeah, I think a little wiser, more sharp.
I'm still pursuing what we like to do.
Yeah. I mean, at least God's been kind that way, At least we are doing what we enjoy doing. And I think that's when age just becomes a number.
Sure.
Because you really just, get into your work. And if you love something that you do so much, as we all do, and that's what keeps us here. Even you haven't aged, I mean, I haven't. Not at all. And
that's a generation.
Yeah, it's just that this profession keeps you young. I feel, it helps you to be conscious about yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, in every aspect. It keeps you in touch with so many people, keeps you up to date with so much of the technology. I mean, which other profession does it? Not one single day is the same. Every single day is different. So, yeah.
And also, I think hats off to whether it's the media, whether it's the film industry, for surviving a brutal ecosystem. That also takes guts.
It does. It definitely does. Especially coming in from the fashion industry and all of that, which got revolutionized so quickly and so fast. I remember us having that whole supermodel era that doesn't exist anymore. Models just became clothes horses. And that's world over. It wasn't personality driven. And luckily we got inroads into the film industry, which allowed us to then, grow in terms of our talent and in terms of our creativity.
True. And also you were one of the few actors who broke that myth, the standard myth when models came into film industries, they had that models can't. And you're, one of the few, many, from your generation and a few more now have broken through that. And I've liked the fact your first film was 21 years ago now, till now.
Yeah,
totally reinvented and recalibrated, I would say yourself, right? So in the last 2 years with all of our streaming platforms, you've owned the space. You gave us that fabulous nail polish. And now we have London Files. So how has your process changed now as an actor when it comes to taking on projects? And also especially what was about this particular one?
So I think it's changed quite drastically. That this is the banner, it's a love story, so and so, this is the star cast. And you would kind of say, okay, this will be the chances of this film working, and it was more of a probability kind of a calculation that people did more than actually going out there to see what the work really was. And I do believe that some of those some projects like that I did sign, purely, even though I didn't believe in the subject or I had no clue what I was going to do in it. And now that would not happen ever. I think that's the whole difference of it. Of course, because of having a lot more knowledge about the craft and about what we really want to do and what really gives us that pleasure and satisfaction. B, not caring about the box office or, about things that were made so important at that point in time. Saying, let's make something good. If it's good, it will work. That comes with experience. That comes with getting to see and experience all that we've gone through. For me, what works is, yes, all these aspects. That if a filmmaker is a person who, has come with a proper script, is open-minded about, how he sees this character or sees the arc of the character, and it's well written and it's well constructed, then half our battle is won. and then you got to just get into the skin of that character. You got to breathe life into it, and make it as humane as possible. And I look for parts like that. London Files was a part like that. It really lended itself to the character being extremely humane because he's a detective, but he is not the cliched normal detective. He is a detective with all the flaws. He's got he has messed up in life, and he has not, and he's got an ego, and he is not a person who has been able to forgive himself for that reason, or or has constantly always blamed other people for it. So when you are that, and I think that's a very relatable trait to have in a character, which I've never experienced in any of the films that I've done. A person who constantly is not taking onus of his mistakes, but always saying, that person did this. I was right. There was nothing wrong in what I did. And what happens with that is you just become weaker and weaker as a personality. And you meet him at the weakest point in the show, in the start of the show. He is a person, and then how through this case, how he kind of finds himself. So I think for me, that whole arc that this detective had was so interesting, which was to establish a detective like that. And what the makers wanted to do was to create a detective which in maybe a season 2 and a season 3 is going to have a season 2 and a season 3. And we've never been able to really make a detective like that. But he's not a superhero, and he's not a super cop, and he's not like super intelligent or super bright. He is very bright. He's very good at his work. And he's a very good detective. But he's a terrible father. He's a terrible husband. He's a terrible, colleague, friend, everything.
How has fatherhood changed? And is there something that you've discovered now? Because that little bundle of energy, and when your daughters were young, you were extremely busy. I don't think that you had so much time with them as you've had with this little one.
Actually, I think the pandemic was very much responsible for me even spending so much time with Arik, when he was growing up. I would have been busy because there was a big lineup of work that I had kind of signed before he was born or while he was born. And but because of the pandemic, it was just absolutely fantastic. And I think like maybe at this age you also kind of appreciate it a lot more because you yourself are a lot more secure and you are kind of more comfortable and you're in a zone. You have seen so much of life, what's going to happen, how they're going to grow up, what they're going to become, what their needs are. And I think what I realized and I missed with my daughters, I'm kind of lucky enough to make up with Arik in a way here. But also what Arik teaches me is brings back so many memories about them when they were kids, So, I mean, that's amazing. But sometimes I just see him running around and doing something and have a flash of Mahika or Myra doing the same thing when they were little, and so it's like that memory that comes back.
I do realize this generation is very different from ours. So, are you always on your toes as a dad now, whether it's with your daughters or your son? But a very generous.
I think Mahika Myra pretty much. Yes, they are very, very different. I think that's also happened. And this is something even which one of the reasons why I did London Files too, because it does kind of explore parenting, and shows us the kind of generation gap that has happened between our parents and us. Okay, there was a generation gap, but it was not so drastic. But because of technology and because of the way the world is kind of evolved, what we end up doing because of technology is make ourselves extremely lonely as individuals.
I totally get that. I totally get that.
That whole human reaction that used to happen, has gone so far away. And this kind of deals with that as well.
Think about investigation, Arjun. if you could investigate a show, a case that's always intrigued you, that a fly on the wall experience. Let me see what happened. Which one would that be?
A case which I think I would really now want to really go out there and investigate is the pandemic. How did this happen? What's going on? What's the whole conspiracy? There's so many different conspiracy theories about it. I think it could make a magnificent detective case study.
In Bollywood, if I would tell you to investigate anything, because there are lots of stories that come up, like figure out what actually happened. Is there something that's intrigued you, like when you read about it, was like, how did that happen?
There are a few cases like that, but I mean, if I had to choose one, which would be fictitious in my mind, okay, but it could be a really interesting story.
Before we go, London Files, and you have Dhakaad, right?
Yes.
So how was that, and what can we look forward to there?
Oh, you're going to have something really special coming out with Dhakaad. It's I think first time with a female protagonist to play action spy thriller, which an espionage agent, and I mean, she's done a fantastic job, Kangana. She's going to blow people's minds away. And I think Razi, who is the director, is just absolutely phenomenal. We have never seen something like this. It's very, very international.